What is the one thing you regret not doing last year? Hello and welcome to our channel, the place for those who want to excel at exams, work and languages. Today we're going to understand how to make sure that our New Year resolutions are not full of all those mistakes that make them impossible to achieve. So keep watching in order to understand how to make sure that this year you create the year you really desire. Let's get straight to the point. There are 5 mistakes that we make whenever selecting our New Year resolutions that are the actual problem. So the reason why you don't achieve your New Year resolutions most of the times is not due to you, it's not due to your laziness, it's not due to your lack of initiative, but it's due to the wrong selection of your New Year resolutions. What are these 5 mistakes? Mistake number 1, selecting the wrong New Year resolutions. What do I mean by this? That at times, if you look at your list of New Year resolutions, you see that there are certain things that you don't really want to do, but you just put in the list because they make sense or because other people said that they're important. Maybe your friend is starting to learn Spanish and so you're like, well, actually you should learn a language I've never done it, let me add it there. Or maybe your boss said that going into trading is full of opportunities and so you're like, actually I should go to trading and see how that works. Or maybe you feel that you're a bit chubby and you say, oh, I would like to be thinner, so my New Year resolution will be to remove some kilos from my body. Whatever the reason, you need to understand, is it my New Year resolution or is it someone else's? Because that will make a huge difference in how you will approach it throughout the year. A New Year resolution is something that you want, something that is a long-term project, it's not a one-week thing. So it requires your effort, but it requires your effort in a way that's light, that's aligned with the things that you want to achieve. Another wrong goal that people put, another wrong New Year resolution is, for example, when people are, okay, last year, let me check what I didn't achieve. Okay, let me add it this year. Why is this wrong? Because at times it will work fine, but at times maybe those things that you're re-putting in the list are not exactly the ones that you want. So think about this. Not achieving a goal is very different from regretting not achieving a goal. So if when you look at New Year resolution that last year you didn't achieve, you think, I would have liked to achieve it. For the joy of achieving something, if on the other side you look at it and you're like, I regret not achieving it because I would have really liked to have that thing, then it's a different thing. Okay, so make sure that when you look at your list, they are all things that you want, not someone else, and that you really feel that will make you a better person. To think, okay, by the end of the year, where do I want to be? What do I want to have achieved? How do I want to feel about myself? Second mistake, not knowing yourself. What do I mean? Everyone achieves goals in a different way. And if you have been following us on the channel, you know that there are different ways we all approach time, concepts, decision making, learning, memorization, and so on. And all of us have a different profile. So if I try to apply the strategy that my friend Tony applied because he had a lot of results, but I do it without knowing myself, I am setting myself for failure, because the fact that Tony achieved results with it doesn't mean that I will. I am Julia, I am myself. I work in a different way from what Tony does. So it's important to get to understand how you work. How does your mind process information? When faced with a challenge, how do you prefer approaching it? How do you manage your time more effectively for you? How do you learn more effectively? So get to know yourself before selecting a strategy, otherwise you're going to fail. Third mistake, not planning effectively. Okay, some people plan, but not effectively. Okay, what do I mean? Usually people at the beginning of the year are super motivated. Okay, I'm starting a new phase of my life, whatever, 2021 is not 2020 anymore. Okay, so let me make a plan. And they start creating all these super strict plans that I don't know, they create anxiety even just looking at them. New Year's resolutions are there in order to give you a direction, in order to allow you to dream, in order to set yourself on the path that you want to take. Not in order to create a prison for you, not in order to create overwhelm for you. This is important to keep in mind, but why? Because otherwise you start selecting 10,000 goals that you need to achieve. They are a lot, they are many, because you need to achieve everything, you need to be perfect and so on, and that creates a problem for you. So for example, if in your New Year's resolutions you have reading a book per week, that's a no. Why? Because in the moment in which you tell yourself, I read a book per week, let's say it's January, third week of January. First week and second week, fine. Third week, you're very, very ill. I don't wish it for you, but let's say it happens. And you can't read your book. What happens? That you have already failed at your New Year's resolution. And there's no going back from there, because your New Year's resolution was reading a book per week. And even if you catch up with that later, you will still feel that, yeah, but I didn't really stick to it. On the other side, if you ask yourself, okay, why do I want to read one book per week? Maybe because I want to read, I would love to feel like I've read 52 books in a year. Okay, that's a different thing. Because in the moment in which you have 52 books to read per year, then if you skip 1 week because of some reason, you are still on time to catch up with it. And your New Year's resolution keeps giving you that motivation instead of just draining your energy and making you feel like a failure. Fourth mistake, not checking in. What does it mean? It means that a year is a long thing. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you must have some benchmarks throughout the year. You must have certain moments in which you just check in and see how you are doing. If you wanted to read 52 books in a year, after 6 months, you don't have the goal, but you have a benchmark. You have a benchmark that says, okay, now you should be at about 26 books. When you get to that benchmark, you have a look and you say, I've read 10. Maybe I need to start working harder. Maybe I've read 30. I'm really on track. But that benchmark helps you to keep track of where you are. I would suggest you to have one after 6 months, one after 3 months. And if you're one of those people that you know about your profile, so if you have had a delivery with us of your profile, you will know that. Otherwise, try to feel what you think is best for you. After a month, it may also be very good. Okay, for certain kind of profiles, after a month, it's important to have a benchmark as well. Now, having a benchmark is important because it lets you understand. But the problem is that usually people tell themselves that they will have a benchmark, but they never do. So what should you do now? Take your phone in your calendar, either on an app, on a reminder, on your calendar, whatever you prefer. Put something with an alert that on the 31st of March, on the 30th of June, on the 30th of September, tells you to check how you are doing with your New Year's resolutions. And you take a moment to observe and say, okay, where am I? And it's just a moment of awareness that allows you to adjust your strategy if needed. Mistake number 5 is not readjusting your strategy. So when people get to the 30th of June and they see, actually I've only read 10 books instead of 26 that I should have read. They just say, okay, I need to work harder. And most of the times they move on. You need to understand why you haven't read 26. And what I would suggest you to do is to ask yourself 3 questions. First one, what happened? And what it means is, what is the reason why you haven't read those books? Second question, why? And it's a bit different because what happened will give you the circumstance, will give you what happened, why. That's where you need to take responsibility. And the third question is, how do I change it? Example, I've read only 10 books. What happened? Work was so busy. I had so many things to do. Why didn't I make time? Actually, I got very distracted because I'm very scared that if I read these books, I'm not going to focus on my work, on my family. Okay, how do I change it? What if I use these books in order to have even more things to share with my family? Example. You need to go and ask those 3 questions to yourself because they will help you to change the pattern. You can't expect to achieve your goal if after 6 months you've only read 10 books instead of 26 and you don't change anything in your actions? Ask yourself those 3 questions. So, what do you need to do now? Understanding these 5 mistakes helps you to have awareness of where to put your hands. Have a look at your New Year's resolutions and understand, okay, which kind of mistakes was I doing? How do I change that? How do I adjust them? And make sure that you have your list. Now, your list doesn't need to include 10,000 items because again, otherwise you will feel overwhelmed by all the things. So what should you do? You should just have a few New Year's resolutions that when you look at them, they really motivate you. Because that's the idea of being that kind of person by the end of the year. You feel just so full, so proud of yourself. So what can you do? Think about the question that I asked you at the beginning. What is it that you regret not doing last year? Ask yourself those 3 questions that I told you about the 5th point. Ask yourself what happened, why, and how do I change it? How do you make sure that this year that doesn't happen anymore? Apply. Let me know how that goes. If you would like to share your New Year's resolutions, just leave a comment here below the video and I will see you in the next video. And hopefully, at the end of the year, we will be there celebrating all the amazing results that you will have achieved, but most importantly, the person that you will have become, because that's what stays with you.